Okay.
You are listening to Overwatch League Network, the podcast with Deadeye on all the latest Overwatch League news and information. The show with Tactical Visor on all of the statistics and analysis. Here are your hosts, Booger and Tanura.
Welcome to Overwatch League Network episode 128, brought to you live on Twitch right now with me, Booger, and my co host, Anura. Um, we are live a day late because of Memorial Day. Needed to get our Memorial Day celebrations on. And before we get started, let's just, Anura, how's your weekend been? Long day weekend for most of us here in the States.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. I definitely enjoyed my extra Monday for Memorial Day. We'll leave it at that. I had a good day yesterday. But how about you, Booger? How was your week?
Not a bad week. Today was honestly rough. I have two cars and woke up to them both being broken down and took one of them, towed it to the shop. It was almost an all day thing. They called me, said it was done, and I went to go pick it up literally like 2 or 3 hours ago. And when I went to go leave, they messed up, and I had absolutely no brakes. So I'm driving down the road full speed on a main road with absolutely no brakes, and I realized I need to get it turned around as fast as I could and get it back to the shop, but I had no way to stop. And I was coming up on a red light. I had to just like Tokyo drift that bitch and slam on the e brake and get it like slide. I looked like slid it sideways and everything, and then just like limped it with the flashers back to the shop. I was only like one intersection away, but it was honestly terrifying. And I'm really hoping this show goes a whole lot better than that. Like, I hope that got like my bad
Jeez.
luck out for the like at least for the month because I don't know. I feel like I got pretty lucky. Um, yeah, it was pretty terrifying, but
It's insane.
yeah, it was honestly insane. I was like going down the road and I see that the light turned red and I started hitting the brakes. Luckily, there was no one in front of me. And I was like, nothing's happening, nothing at all. And as I got closer, I was like standing on them and I got like a little bit of something. And then I just had to jam into the emergency brake and pretty much just stood up on that while turning. And I got myself to slow down to a stop and turn around. And I went back in there and was like, yo, what did you do to me? I don't know. It's like some Final Destination or something like
My
that.
God.
But I'm made it home. I'm good. After that, then because of pandemic, I tried to get a lift home, and that is hard to do right now in my town. It took forever, but we're here, and all that's behind. And we're ready to move forward and to talk about some Overwatch League. But before we get started, we want to thank everybody that is watching live on Twitch and to the all the people, all the listeners, all the watchers of the show. So thank you, and we have an announcement to make about the show. We have been starting the show at 7 p.m. Pacific time for a while now, and we are a little bit more East Coasters, so that gets kind of late. We are going to be shifting the start time of the show starting next Monday. We'll be starting at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So that's 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So that's just a new thing. We're just start doing it early, a little bit earlier for us, so that I know some nights by the time we were wrapping stuff up, it's after midnight, and I was waking up at 6 the next day. So we will be starting a little early. I know don't really want to go on about that too much. We can get straight on in to what's going on with the league. Since last week, since we talked, they announced that the token drops, something that people have been wanting literally since Overwatch League went to YouTube. That's like the question that everyone has had is, well, what about the token drops? What about the token drops? Now you can get them. It's a new system that's not like Twitch used to do, where you get the random 100 drops here and there. You just get it's 5 per hour that you are active watching, and it carries over. So if you stop on like 58 minutes of an hour, when you hop back on in 2 minutes, you'll get some more tokens. And this seems like it's not very much, but we got some clarification that on average, if you took on average in the old Twitch system, people were only getting a little over like 4 point something per hour. So this is should be a net improvement. You're just not going to get that 100 drop lucky spell here and there. And you can get your token drops by watching the Overwatch League on the Overwatch League networks or the Overwatch League site, not our website. So I personally haven't ever really been a big skins guy. Like when I've got them, I'll buy an outlaw skin. I've got like the Winston London Spitfire one, but it's never been like a breaking point for me. I've never been super into it. Anura, I know you kind of like being a little more fashionable than me, so are you pretty stoked to be getting some skins for free now?
So this is exciting because it's finally back, and although I don't really need it to watch it, it's just an extra motivator for me to just turn it on when I'm not like paying attention. I'm doing something else. I can turn it on my phone or whatever. For me, it was kind of weird on the Overwatch League site. It was a little bit different. I wish you can still see chat as much as I don't really like enjoying chat that much because sometimes they're just being stupid. It's nice to look back at it, and then also I'd like to see view count. I'm just like one of those people who'd like to see that, and none of those are on the Overwatch League site. But speaking for my own experience, is I got really lucky last year. I had multiple hundred drops, at least I'd say at least 2 to 3 times a month. Like I got them a lot. Um, and so this is a bit different. Now I have to like, and then it's guaranteed I get five. That's cool, but like I enjoyed like just being like, oh, I got lucky. I got extra 100. Like you just tune in, you just turn on your computer or whatever you watch, and you go on, you press Overwatch, and you go in, and you see that you have like an extra 100 tokens. You're like, maybe I'll spend something on this. Um, I missed the little extra drops. They're kind of fun, but I understand why they're doing that, just to make it more even playing field. Probably easier for them as well than doing just random drops. It's good. It's good. It's back. It's good for the league, I think, because if people, if they don't have that extra motivation, they might not get into it this year as much as they did the previous years. So it's a solid thing to have.
Yeah, that's definitely very cool. I know me, I like to watch Overwatch League on my TV more often than the computer. So I was getting on the computer, going on the site, and turning it on my computer, then muting it to watch on TV on Friday and Saturday for the games. But then Sunday, we got like halfway through the games, as close to the end. I was like, oh man, the tokens! I just completely forgot about them. So it's definitely cool, but and I understand like there's technical limitations on how they can get them to people, but you know, it's not one of those make or break things for me, but it's definitely a very hot topic in the community. So we definitely wanted to bring that up and let people know that if you want your tokens, make sure you're watching on the Overwatch League network or the Overwatch League's website. And that's how you get them. You don't get them just from going on YouTube. But now, time to talk about some actual news concerning the league and its players and staffs and stuff. We had Washington Justice put out a very, I don't know, it's one of those, they put out a tweet and it really left a lot of people scratching their head, not on why they put this out. Like, I'm going to read it in quotes, the whole thing, and just listen to how this sounds. It says, to better equip our competitive team for success, we're announcing the release of Anlin Ballin Dang and Chris Bonnie Bino from their roles effective immediately. We look forward to our first match of the May Melee on May 22nd and the remainder of the 2020 Overwatch League season. Please join us in wishing them the best for their next endeavors. And they put that out on May 20th. So it was 2 days before the May Melee started. And there's just a lot of people replying to this just like with question marks and like, what? Like, why are they saying it like that? Like, it doesn't, I think it doesn't sound very respectful to say better equip our competitive team for success. That kind of sounds like a dig on them. And I know there's a lot of people that felt that way too. So, like if you're gonna have to let go of your staff, like we know that these are people that are respected within the community. Bonnie is a Houston Outlaws alumni, so I'm a fan. And Ball Lynn, I've never heard a negative word about her. So the wording they chose on this, definitely, I'm curious if that's how they meant it to come out, or if it was kind of like a PR whoopsie. Like, what's going on, Nora? How do you think this sounds? Like, you think it sounds kind of bad?
Yeah, I understand maybe the Bonnie part, maybe dropping your GM because competitively you just aren't where you thought you'd be, and now you guys try and go a different route, and that's completely fine. Like it's cool that a lot of teams do this, and in natural sport and in regular sports where they'll drop the GM and some of the coaches and try to go for a fresh start. That's what I wanted from Boston, but they're looking better now, so I don't know what's going on there. But this is a weird way of putting it. The equip our competitive team for success. Ballin made this Washington Justice squad really marketable, and it's kind of sad what happened afterwards with Stratus and Corey leaving. I think she did a great job with the branding and like really making this team likable in a lot of ways. And I guess they want to go to more of a competitive route, but the way they worded it just sounded like they just didn't think she could make this team competitive at all. And the effective immediately, I think they're both surprised by this. I don't think they knew it was going to happen until the day of. I think this was like a very split. I'm going to make the decision now. I think we need to do this now. I think it just looks bad on the team as a whole. I don't understand why they dropped Bonnie. I think he was probably a good coach, and I don't think he did anything to make them less competitive as a team. John Galt made a tweet later defending Bonnie and saying he's actually a really good coach, and you shouldn't not look into him as a coach. And so there's something else going on here that we don't know. It's weird. I don't like it. It puts a sour taste on my tongue. It's just like I don't understand it exactly, and we'll probably never know exactly what happens. But this stuff happens all the time. It's not a good look for Washington, especially right now.
Here's the only thing I can think of is I don't know exactly who is in charge of writing these tweets and whatnot, but we have seen the team decide to go in a more Korean direction. And I almost wonder if this could be some translation error where like the tone of it is off because it wasn't originally written in English. But I'm not really sure because I don't know who wrote this. I guess that's something I could look up. I just now thought of that like as you were talking. I was like thinking like, oh yeah, they might have released them because it looks like Washington is gonna go to a full Korean roster, and that could just be the next step. But then I was like, well, maybe that could be part of it, is that it wasn't meant that way. But at the same time, it's like, how hard would it have been to have someone like, hey, read this, let me know, does this sound kind of, yeah, does it sound good? This is like,
yeah, that they could have asked anyone, just like
literally,
is this good? And if someone says it's good, then they should be fired. My main reason, I do think they might be going more Korean for the player side, but their head coach is still he's from Singapore, but he's not a Korean born, and they have other coaches on there. And I think they have like two, and like one, I think one's not Korean, but like I don't know exactly what they're doing with this team. And if they go full Korean, I guess that's fine. I trade Elivote because they don't keep him in here just for the. He's so good. I'd be hurt to see him go, but If you're gonna do it, do it. I mean, you got Janu now, so hey, it can only go up, I guess.
Yeah, I just and it just seems like the wording for this. And when I first read it, I thought it might have just been me. And then it just like all the replies are like, "Why in the world did y'all say it like that?" So, um, at the Washington Justice, maybe do a better job proofreading next time because this comes off kind of bad. But and I don't see a world where they would mean it to come off that way. Um, but we can finish up talking about people who have been released, and we'll talk about some new additions teams have made. Right before the Melee tournament, we had the Vancouver Titans sign a player named Shockwave, who previously played in contenders for teams like Montreal Rebellion and Square One before, and he was on Raspberry Racers when they picked him up. Shockwave come into the team, and everybody thought for sure in that first game that was Titans versus Vancouver on Thursday or Friday, that first game where they were playing to get in the tournament, everybody was just like, Titans are getting stomped. They have not looked
It
good.
was it was Toronto versus
What
Vancouver,
did I
right?
say? Yeah,
You
did I say it
said
wrong?
said Titans versus Vancouver,
Oh
which I
man,
agree it was
Vancouver.
that as well. But
But
you know,
yeah, so yeah, no, the Vancouver Titans played the Toronto Defiant, and Shockwave come in on and playing a lot of Echo, and boy, did he play Echo good. So this was a very welcome addition to the Titans, who have been a team. You know, we've been talking about them for weeks. They blew up their team. They're getting their feet under them. They've had six. This is their seventh person, and he definitely made a difference. Did you get to catch the Vancouver Titans game? Even though they lost, they took it to map 5 with Toronto
mhm,
Defiant, which they would not have been able to do without Shockwave playing. He
yeah,
was like almost on that decay level of trying to carry. Like he was on
the
it.
dude looked amazing on Echo, and I think this is the pickups I was looking for this team's management to really make. Like I said, this is Second Wind's former management. They're really good at recruiting players and finding them. I'm glad they found someone to open up Dalton as well, because I don't think Dalton was looking that good on Echo, and I feel like his hit scan's too good not to like keep him on hit scan. Um, I'm now wondering where Tasuna fits exactly on this team, but overall, this is it was a really good pickup because they needed something that at least give them a fighting chance for this tournament, and Shockwave was it for sure. I still think they need a few more pickups to really become as competitive as they want to, but right now this is a really good start for them.
Yeah, they're definitely on their way. We can also note Shockwave was on the same team as KSA previously. So they're reuniting some players that have played together, which overall I think is a really smart move. Um, you know, I'm no Overwatch League coach, but it seems to make sense that if you're starting a team pretty much from scratch, like the Titans were, and they get that starting six, to be asking those six, who do you like playing with? Who do you feel like you play the best with? And use that as like a route to start scouting. And you know, this Raspberry Racers team, which was the last team that Shockwave was on, that's who KSA played for. So they've been on the radar. They weren't a no name contenders team. So he's played with people before. So it's very good pickup for the Titans. They do still have a long way to go, but also I think we're still have a long way to go with the development of how Echo's going to be optimized. So it's a long way to go, but his what seemed to be his specialty on Friday, you know, people are still learning it. So he's definitely got room to grow as people grow with the hero. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Another signing we had coming into us, I believe this one was on the 21st, the day before the tournament starts, and the Boston Uprising signed tank player Mikey to their team. Um, yeah, so they got another main tank. That's definitely a role that Boston's looked a little bit weak on. He has before. played for contenders on Skyfoxes. So he's been around the Overwatch scene, been playing. Um, I did not catch all of Boston's game this weekend, but the maps I did watch, I think Fusions was still in. So
Yeah, Mikey didn't
um,
play today. This
yeah, I
week.
didn't. Okay, I didn't think we seen him. I was thinking he didn't play at all, but I didn't want to be wrong, and
Mhm.
he played when I went and got a snack or something. So um, yeah, they still had fusions in, but gives them a little bit more depth at main tank because they have Axiom on their roster who is still out to medical leave. He's been had something going on with his eyes, I believe, but he's been on medical leave for a minute now. So without him being there, that's good that they have somebody here, especially the way that the Overwatch League is right now. You never know when double main tank's gonna be the move. So it's pretty good that they were able to get get another main tank just for the depth. And yeah, so Boston Uprising definitely they were at the bottom, but they're making moves, trying to not be the worst team. But,
Well, I think they've done more than some other teams at this point. But I think Boston, I think they saw someone new, fresh. He's pretty new. He was like on one team for a little bit, but that was like early 2019. But he hasn't really started doing anything competitively, especially on like the contenders until November of 2019. So he's only been doing like high competitive stuff since like basically 2020. This kid, he seems like he's good. He has a lot of potential. I think he could actually learn a lot from fusions and maybe become the starting tank for them. And I think he's a lot of potential. It's a Boston signing. It's like from the T. This dude could either bust or be really good, and I think they want to give him a shot, which is great. I'm excited for it.
Yep. And that's not the only signing we had coming in right before the um, May Melee day of. They were announced that Zeke I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's ZYKK. I think they were saying it is Zeke on the broadcast, but he used to play for Third Impact, and he joined the Toronto Defiant on what we've been calling the mercenary contract. It's a 14-day contract. Um, so this was pretty interesting for the Defiant. A lot of people have been speculating that might be the writing on the walls for the Surefour's retirement, but nothing like that has been made official. Um, they might have just wanted I don't know. They might just be trying something out, looking into trades. Who really knows what's going on with the league right now? But we do know that he signed into this 14-day contract, and they were able to outplay the Titans in the first day, but that's all they were able to do. He didn't make the Toronto Defiant look significantly better. Um, he was, played pretty decent. I don't know. What do you know much about his history? Because before they announced him, I didn't know a whole lot about him.
I didn't know a lot about him either, personally. He was on Third Impact. That was a great team. I mean, obviously, I think he's pretty good. I think he was better than Agility's on the Echo.
Agree.
I would love to see them pick him up like fully. It's one of those things where I don't see a reason not to for Toronto Defiant. But I really think they wanted someone good enough to at least make him have a deeper run than they thought they're gonna have for the tournament, and I think Zeke filled that perfectly. It kind of sucks that they got the 14-day contract for this, and literally it's a 2-week break, so it's going to be way over before the
So he
next
was just
games.
playing in the May Melee for real.
So
That's all.
basically, I think they might have just got him from that, but I do think they need to start looking for someone else. I'm surprised if Shifur is not retiring that they didn't try to get Shifur to play Echo, but we don't know what's going on there. We won't know for a bit. There's some people who are saying that like, oh, he doesn't have Toronto Defiant on in his bio for Twitter, but it's been confirmed he hasn't had that for a while now. So it's like maybe he didn't want to have it on his Twitter bio. and he was playing for them while he didn't have it. So it
Yeah,
could be a
maybe
lot of things.
he might
But
also want to be traded or is being traded and knows about it just because somebody removes a team out of their social media. Just because of recent times we've seen some people do that, then they leave for Valorant. That doesn't mean every time it
I
happens that's going on.
I don't think Shafour's going to leave for Valorant either way. He's
Yeah,
got
I
such
don't
a good
either.
streaming
He's an
career. Like I don't.
he's an
He's
Overwatch dude. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. It's just one of the things where I think Zeke would be a good signing for this team. Maybe try to get both of the third impact DPS. I think Zeke and God, who's the other one?
Is it
Tayo.
Carter?
Tayo's also
Oh, never
really
mind.
good. No, Carter's gone. But Tayo is also really nutty. But we'll see what they're gonna do. It's they could go a lot of ways with this. I think Toronto do need to sign something, like find something else to help them because honestly, they're not looking that clean,
Yeah.
and they have looked better lately, but it's not enough. They need more.
Let's say.
Maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
dude.
ahead.
I'm gonna say the brightest point of the Toronto Defiant this weekend was Kariv for sure. Like he's the reason they beat the Titans was Kariv. So I don't know. Maybe they're looking into building around him a little more. But yeah, Toronto Defiant definitely still needs some work.
All right. Yeah, I got nothing else to say on this.
Yeah. Okay, so then last bit of player movement news we got is that Janu has been confirmed to be picked up long term for the Washington Justice, and Pre is the new general manager. So they picked up Janu full time, even though they had Ellie Vote, who is a pretty capable off tank, and didn't announce anything about Stitch when they before the Stitch's like mercenary contract. They had one DPS player, so this is very odd to me that Janu is the one we're talking about right now and not Stitch. I would have thought we would be saying Stitch picked up full time or Stitch and Janu picked up full time. I never thought that I was going to be coming on here this week saying Johnny picked up long term. Don't know about Stitch. Like that's a little bit weird. Um, I don't know if maybe they couldn't come to terms on contract issues or they didn't like the way he played and are looking for other options. But we have no word about who's going to be the long term other DPS for the Justice. And I know this is supposed to be us talking about the Janu pickup. We kind of went over how he's going to affect the team when we talked about it last week. So this is more to me. This is the flag saying like, why aren't they talking about picking up Stitch? And if they ain't going to pick him up, why aren't they talking about who their other DPS is going to be? Because they don't got one. It's not like they need somebody to make their team stronger. Nah, they need another DPS to have a full roster. So, what do you think this is going on? Like, they just had to pick up Janu long term.
I think Janu was one of those pickups where we have the opportunity to get this amazing player that can bring over other players that probably want to play with him. And so they're going to take that. Stitch, I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe they're discussing player contracts right now. There could be a lot of things, but it's interesting that Janu's already got the contract and Stitch doesn't. I don't think Stitch looks the strongest personally. I don't think Tuba looks the strongest personally. It's just like it looks like they're still not there, and I don't know who they're going to pick up. If they're going full Korean, that's cool. But they have 2 weeks to figure it out. So I think they're going to take at least a week of this and try to figure out who they want for the new restructured Washington Justice, the new competitive team that they want. But it's I don't know, dude. Washington's a little weird right now. I don't think Janu is going to do that much difference. I know like Janu is better than Ellie Vote. I will give him that. I just don't know. I don't know how much it's going to change this team. I personally, I don't think Aim God or Arc have looked that strong this season. Roar hasn't looked that good this season either. Uh, Tuba hasn't looked that strong. It's just like the whole team just does not look that good. Their strongest parts left. Corey left for a better opportunity, obviously, for him, and Stratus just couldn't. I think he needed that stage presence that's just not there right now. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but they're gonna have to figure it out fast. They've got to start rebounding now. It's getting to the point where you can't just like have good end of the season again and like be happy. You've got to show improvement soon.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to pull off what they did last year and just wait till the end of the season and just go on a win streak and leave that on everybody's mind. So preseason next year we'll be like, don't you remember they won like 5 games in a row? They're gonna be good. So maybe they're just trying to pull that off again. Who knows? But Justice definitely is one of those teams in progress. They're definitely probably right at the bottom of the league, right there with the Titans and the Uprising. So I'm just glad I'm not saying the Outlaws in the conversation with the Justice. But so the that moves on to what we got to talk about is this past weekend we had the midseason tournaments, and the midseason tournaments actually produced some absolutely stellar Overwatch. Pardon me. Um, we'll go ahead on how much we had the midseason tournaments because of the whole pandemic. We had it split into 2 separate divisions. We had the Asian region and the North American region, and we can go ahead and talk about this Asian region first. We actually saw the Seoul Dynasty, who technically pulled off back-to-back upsets to land in the finals against Shanghai. Seoul Dynasty, who was ranked absolutely bottom of the league, or they were seeded absolutely bottom of the division for the previous SEA games. We've seen them look strong in the past, but they did not win any of the qualifiers. So that put them at a low seed, and they were able to pull off their first win against the Spark. And then they came up against the number 1 seed Charge, who had a bye, and they whooped them too. So they were looking pretty strong going into the finals. Who we got to see the finals were the Shanghai Dragons, who actually just rolled over New York Excelsior in the semifinals. And I think they played. I did not get to catch every single one of those games. They come early in the morning, and I need to make sure before I misspeak. Yeah, the Dragons rolled over the New York Excelsior, and then they went to a map 5 with the London Spitfire. So that set us up for the finals, which was the Shanghai Dragons versus the Seoul Dynasty. Um, technically Seoul got there through upsets, but that's one of those teams that they've looked up and down. So I don't know. Were you really surprised? Like mathematically, it's an upset that Seoul beat the Spark and the Charge. But were you really surprised they were able to do that?
Once they were able to play to their strengths, I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, this is a team that when they can play what they want, they can look really good. And I mean, what they want is profit on Tracer. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, like it's a world of hurt that profit can bring on that Tracer. I do think they looked better. They did have that close game against Guangzhou Charge, where it could have gone either way. But also, Shanghai had a close game against London Spitfire. Like it was a good tournament on that end. But it was one of those things where if Seoul's looking good, they're gonna make it far. I mean, you don't get profit and gesture for nothing. Those guys can make it in tournaments, and
Yep.
so it was a good time. Seoul, I'm still iffy about them.
Yeah.
They need to figure out
Yeah.
who their echo player is because Profit doesn't look as clean, or he needs to practice more. I don't know. They need to figure out a different play style. I don't think they have that many looks. It shows when Shanghai can just switch out a few players and just dominate them. Um, but I mean that I was watching it. I woke up at 3 a.m. to watch these games on Sunday, and then basically I fell back to sleep because it's 3 a.m. and I woke up like right before this game, and I was super hyped because like thank the Lord I did not miss this game. And then the soul just kept whooping and whooping. I was like, oh come on, what's going on? And I was looking back and I'm like, why are they playing DM and Stand One when they're playing Fearless and Lit previously? And and then they switched them out for Lip and Fearless, and then they started dominating. I was like, so they were the better team. They so Shanghai blamed the reason why they put Stand One and DM out is that they wanted to give Fearless and Lip a break. But I really think they're just trying to give DM and Stand One some playing time. But overall, I think Soul looked really good. If they can continue looking good or just get lucky with the meta again, I guess they can really show that they're apart. But well, it just shows that you can never doubt this. Like previous London squad, now Seoul Dynasty squad, like they can always come and perform, and so that's the most dangerous part about them. So yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you, this game when we got to the finals, the Shanghai versus Seoul game was absolutely incredible Overwatch. Um, I actually had was on that was on Sunday. I woke up and had hit the snooze button on the alarm quite a few times, and eventually I finally stopped hitting the snooze and turned the TV on and saw Seoul was up 2-0, and I was like, "Oh man, Seoul is the real deal." And then saw them continue to go up 3-0, and that's when Shanghai brought in Fearless and Lip. And this was an actual reverse sweep in a best of 7 Overwatch match. We don't see that very often. It was absolutely insane. I think it was one of the first times a reverse sweep has happened in a best of 7. And to me, this seeing them go down 0-3 and then put in Fearless, that was and then continue to win out with him, that is to me the 100% completion of the Fearless redemption. Fearless was on that team that for the Shanghai Dragons season 1 that went, oh, they didn't win. They didn't win.
Pulling 40, yeah.
Oh, so like Fearless is like with this like he is was not the problem that season. He is the real deal, and I thought that was absolutely excellent and just great for him and for the team to be able to make this happen. Like this game, like if you did not see any of the games this weekend, this Shanghai versus Seoul game is the game to watch. Like this was probably would you say this is probably the best game we've seen all year? Like this is one
obviously
of those games.
it's a top 5 game in the Overwatch League in general.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about this. Like we're gonna be talking about this for years to come. Like this was an amazing game.
I think we can definitively say I think Fearless is the best Winston in the league by far. That dude's primals are insane. Absolutely insane. For me, I don't know what they're gonna do with people like Ding on their lineup and DM, and because literally it's just it's Fleta and Lip. I think they can play everything really well, and I don't know where you're gonna put these two in. I mean, it's just obviously it's insane. Are you gonna leave them on the bench? These players are gonna probably retire if they have to do that. So I'm looking to see if they're gonna try to find a spot for them or try to get them traded to somewhere that they can get some playing time. This is like they have great players in there, but Lip and Fleta are just next level for this team. I think we're really seeing Fleta. Fleta was good in Seoul, he was, but like we're really seeing him like explode, absolutely explode on this roster. And Lip is like insanely good. This kid came out of nowhere, and now he's like one of the best players. So props to Moon in Shanghai. This is like a huge turnaround. and they look amazing. I cannot wait to see Shock versus Shanghai one day.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, I would think that Shanghai is very reminiscent of that Shock team of last year, where they had like a stacked DPS line, but then it got to be the point where they didn't have enough time to rotate them all. But yeah, you really hit the nail on the head that Fleta was at times just doing things that didn't seem possible. At the end of King's Row on their defense, on the Dragons' defense, they Fleta on instinct just decided to swap to Widowmaker and proceeds to barely pop out the spawn doors and just pick 4 by himself. And it was literally the turning point of that like a little fight sequence. I can't remember if they ended up stalling it all the way out, but they definitely, if it wasn't for Fleta popping out on that Widow to hit 4 headshots, they 100% was about to push the payload in. So he was able to stop them on that advance, and it was just absolutely insane. Like I think the first one, or maybe it was the first 2, the broadcasters didn't catch. You saw it in the kill feed, and then it popped to Flood. They realized what was going on. It popped to Flood, and it's just ting, ting. Overwatch has that headshot sound that's just the most satisfying headshot sound that's ever been put into a video game. Like,
It's the
and
best.
it really is. It's one of the highlights of playing. And then he just, oh yeah, like go if there's a game to watch from this weekend, it's the Shanghai versus Seoul. Like,
To give Seoul some credit, because we haven't been talking about them.
Yeah, they were good.
I think Fitz looked incredible, especially on that Junkertown where he did the flank as Widow. I think Fitz looked incredible. Badosin and Toby looked really good. They played a lot of the Baptiste Zen or Baptiste Ana, whatever they wanted to do. And they looked really good with that. And I think they found a spot where Toby can thrive, where Badosin is obviously going to thrive. Marvel has looked better on the off tank stuff, but he thrives on that Sigma. He's really good at Sigma. Gesture looked good too, and Profit on Tracer. What else can you say? It's an insane team, and I really do hope that they can really bring this skill more, so we can have better games than just them getting 0-3 or 3-0ing. I want to see some insane games by them. They're such a weird team, and I hope that this slime pickup, when they decide to use them, really shifts them into this new next level team that we saw this weekend.
Yeah, that's also one thing to note is that they picked up Slime right before the Mayhem, and he did not see any playtime. So Slime is with the Soul Dynasty, but we'll see if he's going to get some playtime. This Soul Dynasty we saw come out this weekend, that it was looking pretty strong. Like, it took a team like the Shanghai Dragons right now, who are that powerful, to take them all the way to the end. So yeah, so that's what we got going on for the Asian divisions. And then when we come to the North American division, we had a little bit of shakeups. Pre last week, I think we said just about every single bracket that people were predicting. We're predicting the Philly versus Shock finals. Like, that's what we thought we was gonna have. And we had the Florida Mayhem come in and whoop up on Philly 3-1 on the back of just an insane performance all weekend from Yaki with the Florida Mayhem. Yeah, like Florida, we've been saying going into the tournament, we were like, hey, they got a high seed. They had a weak schedule, though, so it doesn't really mean they're good. But you can only beat who they put in front of you. And the Florida Mayhem, just shy of beating everyone that they put in front of them except for the Shock. So Florida is the real deal. They have cemented at this point in Overwatch League, they are one of the top teams. They belong in that conversation for the top 2, top 3 teams out there.
Going to this tournament, if you told me that the Florida Mayhem were going to beat the Atlanta Rain after they picked them, then went off to beat the Fusion, and then faced against the Shock and like ended up losing, I still wouldn't have believed you. Like this is insane. They also they took maps off of a Shock that I think they Shock
Mhm.
dropped only one other map against Dallas Fuel. It's dude, they're good. They looked really good. I think Kookie or their GM or their head coach talked about how they thought this was their meta, and it obviously was. Like they looked really good in this. Yaki is a nut. That dude for a while he was off my radar,
Seriously.
but he's definitely on it now. Rookie of the year all the way. And right now it's between him and Lip for me, and maybe Alarm. Alarm also looked really good, but it props to them, dude. Like I was skeptical because they were playing these bad teams. But they were winning against bad teams. But I mean, I was like, I'm not gonna say they're good until I know they're good. And they're good. They're good. For me personally, they still I don't know if they're better than Fusion yet. I know they beat them in this meta, but I still don't know if they're absolutely better than Fusion. I can't say that like definitively 100%. They're better than Fusion. I still think Fusion has a higher skill ceiling with the players they have, and there's some questions I have for Florida Mayhem, especially Chris. Chris looks really good on break. His Lucio's not that good. Don't really care about his Mercy or Baptiste. I think that his brig is his strong point, which is a weird thing to have as a main support, saying your brig is your strong point. Um, they're like one or two upgrades from being a really top team. I also want to point out that in the beginning of the season, really just wanted to get into play-ins. He's like, if we can get this team into play-ins, it's a successful season. Well, with this tournament and where they landed, they are now 9-4, so they're tied for the most wins they've ever had in a season, and they're only like 1/4 of the way. I can guarantee you they're gonna make play-ins. So,
For
I
sure.
congrats to Florida, and if you're a Florida fan, congrats to that. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I think that we definitely cannot talk enough about how good Yaki played. Like his tracer is pretty much, at least this weekend, was on the same level as Prophet, who I had thought was the best tracer in the league. But he's got some mad competition now. And on top of that, Yaki also has insane skills on Echo already. So those are like really good heroes to have specialties in. Like that's just for what's going on in the meta right now. Like in Overwatch League, we've been seeing like a lot of Tracer and Echo together, and just in general, I think Tracer, it's been quite a few patches, but she got that buff that made her damage fall off a little further. And that's one of those things that it makes a character stronger, but it's really hard to quantify because it's so situational. And I think that that's one of those things that it was a buff, but it's one of those buffs that the power increase is like it starts and it goes up because when you go to a longer fall off range for damage, you got to think that yeah, you can't just know that. You have to feel it out. You have to be able to feel, and in the way Overwatch works, you don't get little damage numbers over their head. So it takes a really lot of chunking data to start to get like, oh, if we're playing on this map, I know I don't have damage fall off. You can still be optimal with how much your output is going to be from different locations. Like it takes a while to get that understanding down. So I think that that's been one of those things that we didn't see Tracer play erupt huge when that buff happened, but I think that that buff is why we've seen so much Tracer when she's not banned in the past few weeks, because it's just someone who's already skilled at her movement, and then you put that on top of it and they're able to even get more damage while being even more slippery than before. It just is a storm for some players. And Yaki definitely was playing Tracer in just like you could tell by the way he was playing that he was playing so slippery. And it's one of those ones when you get a tracer like that in your ladder game, you're just like, oh my god, what do we even do? Like,
Mhm.
just turn around. She's behind you. She's the other side, and it's just nutty. So big props. Florida, without a doubt, is legit. And I've been going on and on about Yaki, but we also got to give a shout out to some of their other players.
BQB.
Gargoyle, BQB had some huge plays. Gargoyle
Mhm.
played well too, and he stepped out of his main role a little bit. We've seen him more on the off tank role. And then there were compositions that Florida played that required the Orisa Reinhardt, and he was the Reinhardt. So, and he still performed. Like, it didn't look like, sometimes you put an off tank, you put a Diva main or something like that on Reinhardt, and it looks like they're playing left handed. It just is kind of out there. But he definitely held his own even in those positions. And you can't forget to mention Gangnam Jin was a,
Oh yeah, he was insane.
he was on it. So yeah, Florida, without a doubt, they belong 100% in the top five of your power rankings right now. Probably top three if you really get down to it. Like, they belong up there. They are a team to reckon with, and
It,
we've got proof about it. It's not just, oh, they 3-0'd Boston twice, and no, they looked strong against Philly, and their game against Shock, it ended in a 2-4 victory for the Shock. The Shock won, but it was competitive the whole way through. It was all the way competitive.
I want to talk about Fate for a second.
Yeah.
It's not going to be long, but if you go back and watch he has very aggressive and also like super. I want to say accurate halts the way he did it. I don't know how to explain it exactly,
Hmm.
but he was a super aggressive Orisa, and he'd have super aggressive halts that would really bring people out of position. And I want to just there's probably coaching staff and how they wanted to play Orisa, but I don't think anyone else does it in the league. And I thought that was super interesting. We have to. I want to talk about Kuki for a second. This guy came in with a team that was not looking that good on paper, and he's really made it work and made it into what it is. A lot of people were like, Yaki can't carry this team into victories. Well, I don't think he is anymore. Like Yaki, Gangnam Jin, BQB's looking amazing. Fate's looking solid. So is Karayan when he comes in. Chris is looking really good on the break. Like they've got pieces now. They're looking like more than just like a solid team or more than a mid tier team. This is a really well coached, good team, and you've got to commemorate him for that. Like it's insanely good.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. This is one of the most turned around teams that we've ever. Well, I mean, the Shanghai Dragons, the most turned around team, clearly. But Florida Mayhem are right there with them. In those first two seasons, Florida did not pull off very many wins. And now, Florida was looked at as like, oh, easy game, easy win. And now it's just like, oh, damn, that's one of the best teams in the entire league. So, yeah, it's absolute. I love seeing a team that was down in the dumps make a huge comeback and be strong because all the Florida Mayhem fans have been hearing it for years now. They've been hearing it, and now they get to revel in as much shit talk as they want because their team is even though they didn't win, they still, other than
Mm-hmm.
Shock fans, they can still talk trash to anybody because that is like they are on that level. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see. The question is, do they keep this up? Um, and if Florida continues to improve, they're going to be, oh man, they're going to be close to the top of the league at the end of the season if they continue improving. Um, but some teams hit a ceiling, and that's one of those things we're just going to have to watch for. I think it's interesting to note we did not see Saya player at all, even on maps where they were opting to run Widow. And Saya player has been long known as just a phenomenal Widow. And you know what?
Well,
Hold on, we were talking. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I just want to say I think BQB is better. straight
Yeah,
up.
this week he definitely, I would agree with that for sure. Prior to this week, I probably would have argued a little bit like he was really good, but BQB looked tight.
Where Saya can pop off, BQB looked absolutely solid and very comfortable in this team. Where I don't think Saya's ever looked comfortable in any team. I think he looked like more of a pine figure, where he had those pop off moments. You're like, oh my god, Saya
Mm.
player. But like, I don't think he exactly fits what they need, and I think BQB is honestly the better hit scan out of the two right now. He's just consistently doing what they need, and I completely understand why the coaching staff put it on BQB over side player. So, or maybe he's just riding out the season, and he's like, yeah, you can keep my. I'd love to stay on the team, just do nothing. Maybe that's what's happening, but I don't know. It could be anything.
Yeah, and we've spent all this time talking about Florida, and we haven't even talked that much about the San Francisco Shock, who are the team that actually won the whole North American division. And in the finals, we got to see them bringing out. Speaking of widow specialists, we got to see them bringing out Ons, who didn't play only widow, was on some Ash, some McCree, was on hit scan rolls. Saw a little bit of his widow, and it was pretty tight. Um, but like the Shock, they definitely have continued to prove they are the premier Overwatch team. Even though they lost Sinatra, who people say is their star player, but he wasn't their star player in terms of playtime. He was the face because he's a pretty marketable personality. He had skills to back it up. In the GOAT season and before, he was absolutely popping off. But this year, like, he wasn't even getting a ton of playtime, and then the Shock really
Well,
this with this tournament proved that they're still on the same level. We knew that they had a deep bench of DPS players that were all absolutely insane, but now they are down a couple. Sinatra retiring, Architect getting traded. They're not quite as deep as they were, but they kept the right ones. They knew who to keep, didn't they?
mm, well, I think Architect was an amazing player, but I do think he wasn't going to get
Mm-hmm.
played. Um, Overall, this team looked great. What amazed me is that Striker didn't get over on playing time. Is that saying that Ons is now like their starter and Striker's back to the bench? Or maybe this just isn't the meta for Striker. I don't know, but like maybe he's the next to go because honestly, he's waited so long to get starting time, and now he's just getting beat out again. It kind of sucks, but we're gonna talk about Ons. Ons looked fantastic. He went toe to toe with Decay, and he looked absolutely insane. I mean, that's a feat in itself. Decay carries Fuel. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. He carries, and Ons shut him down for some points. And overall, I mean, it's a shock. I don't know what you can say that already hasn't like been said. Like, I think they have the best coach. I think they have some of the best players. I think they have some of the funniest players. Like, I don't know. Like, they've worked hard and they really know what to do to win. And as soon as other teams can catch, it's a catching up game. Like, these guys are on top, and someone's gonna have to catch up eventually. We thought maybe Fusion would be the people to catch up, but it wasn't this week. Mayhem looked like they could beat them, but they weren't there. And good for Shock. I mean, they're just showing that they're still dominant. NRG is the owner of Shock and the Chicago Huntsmen, and they both won their respective tournaments this weekend for both CDL and Overwatch League. So there's something that NRG knows. They just picked up the right people and understand that these people know how to make an Overwatch League team, and or a competitive team in this kind of format, and it shows. I mean, Shock number one. I don't know what else to say. Like, you can argue Shanghai, but it until they can beat the Shock, I don't know who's not like I don't know who could be number one other than them.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that. Well, let's go ahead. We do not have the schedule for upcoming weeks of Overwatch League. That is still a to be released. But all I'm saying right now is within the next week or two of the season coming back, we need San Francisco versus Philly Fusion. Like, we all thought that was going to be the finals, and, tournaments sometimes what you expect ain't going to happen. But they're doing, the NA teams they've showed that they can all play against each other on reasonable ping. This game needs to happen. Like, oh, that will be so hype if they want to help the viewer numbers. That's gonna go through the roof. Everybody wants to see Shock versus Fusion, so I am hoping that right now, since we don't have a schedule. I guess that's instead of going over the upcoming weeks, we can both just pick a game that we really want the league to you know to to schedule. And for me, that's Philly versus Shock. But I think that's a duh. That's one we all want to see. Um, if you're the schedule maker, is there any two teams you can think of you really want to see square off?
I don't know. I really don't. Maybe Shanghai versus Charge or something. Because I
Yeah.
think Charge was really good. I think they just barely got beat out, and I'd love to see them face off against this team. But right now, they're not gonna have Nero. There's so many teams that could be playing. I'd love to see some Gladiators face off against teams that aren't Boston, but also are easy, like maybe some Justice or Vancouver. But overall, I just want good games. I just want good games. I want to see Paris play in general because I think next week
Oh,
or this week, Sparkle play becomes eligible, and that's going to be insane. Maybe they can get XEI back as well, or XC back, and
is
I mean this could be a new Paris after that.
okay. So Sparkle will be able to play on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's got
So
the break too, so
oh yeah. So there's a break. So when we come back, we're definitely gonna have some Sparkle. So
I
that
hope.
is 100% something to look forward to. Um,
What I'm looking forward to over just like the is seeing what signings are gonna happen because I think some teams are
yeah.
not happy with the results they had, and so they're gonna start picking up players. And specifically, I think Washington's gonna pick up some players. I think Vancouver
Mhm.
might pick up a few, and I think Gladiators might pick up a few. I think they're starting to look into that. Some other teams, maybe Dallas, if they want to spend some more money. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are like, I
Toronto.
think they know Toronto is a big one. Um, there's a few others that I can't really think of right now, but I want to see some signings. I do. I think this is the perfect time to do it. I know that this is supposed to be people's breaks, and a lot of teams are taking break for a week. But maybe your coaches to look over some VODs of some contenders teams, or try to trade off some players for some money, or try to get some trades going that you think will benefit your team. This is the perfect time to do it. Go ahead, go. I'd love to see some mix up in the Overwatch League. I mean, you saw what one player could do for Boston, so
Yeah,
hopefully we can see some cool stuff happening soon.
we still have our, it's a pretty decent selection of former Titans players that don't have homes. So we might be seeing where they're going over the next week or two. But
Someone pick up Sam Sue, please. I'm gonna cry if you don't.
seriously though, like you're right on with that. That's one that we gotta see a home for. I think Jae Hong probably ain't finding a home for this season. I think he even said he wanted to take a break, and I think next season he'll either be on a team or he will be a maybe a coach. I think that's very very possible. So yeah, I think that's pretty much close to what we got to talk about this week. Do you got any? I guess we got some time for wild speculation if you got any going on. But other than that, we don't got any games to go over. And,
No, I
you
think
know,
that's it for me. I think we're good.
yeah, right on. So if you are still listening and you would like to leave our podcast a review, be sure to head on over to your favorite podcatcher of your choice and leave us a review. We're always looking for new ways to improve the show and make it a better listening experience. Plus, we read reviews on air. Um, Anura, you want to tell everybody about the recall?
Yeah, you can find additional Overwatch content on our website via Recall. Every Sunday, we release the weekly recall that lists the episodes released within the last week. For more information, follow Overwatch Recall on Twitter at OW Recall. You can also support our podcast via Patreon. If you'd like to show some additional support to our network of Overwatch shows, consider pledging via Patreon. Tiers just start at $1 a month. More information can be found at www.patreon.com/OWL network. You too can join the likes of our Master and Above Patreons, Daniel Owl, Kasha, Agent Life, and 044 in helping our network grow. And Booger, how can they contact the show?
Before we get onto that, I got special shout out for two of our patrons that you just mentioned, Owl and Kasha, and I have entered the the Get Good Elo Hell tournament under a team named the Happy Little Accidents. So, if over the next few weeks you see the Elo Hell tournament streaming and you get a Happy Little Accidents game going on, that's gonna be some of us. I'm playing with them. We're trying our best and very excited to experience a little bit of competitive Overwatch. But if you want, we'll go ahead and if you want to contact the show, you can send us an email at contact@owlnshow.com. We have a website, which is owlnshow.com. You can find our Twitter with all the latest up-to-date information for all the shows on the network at owlnshow. You can find all the past episodes of the Overwatch League Network on youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We have a Discord, which is discord.me/OWLN show. And if you like to watch the show live, you can find it at twitch.tv/OWLN show. We are a Twitch affiliate, so you can help support the show by subscribing to the channel and earn the network emoticon. Our podcast network streams regularly with a variety of different gaming based shows, and we got Overwatch League Network, which airs Mondays. Moving forward, we'll be airing Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We have Overwatch League by the Numbers, which airs Tuesdays at 6 p.m. That is on a short break right now, with the mid-season break. Then you got Heroes Never Die, a variety Overwatch show, which airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and Tavern Tales, the Hearthstone Battlegrounds podcast that airs Thursdays 5 p.m. Pacific over at twitch.tv/Tavern Tales. And if you would like to contact the host, you can find me directly on Twitter at BoogerBrains with two Z's, BOOGERBRAINZZ. And Anura, where can everybody find you?
They can find me at Twitter at AnuraOW. Yeah.
Okay, well, I hope all y'all have a great night. Make sure your brakes work before you take off down the road.
Yeah. Bye.